This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy, ladies and gentlemen. It's a late night. I hadn't been on in a while. Hadn't talked about anything that's going on. So, me and Tony decided to just jump on for a little bit, do a little mailbag session. You can call in 516-362-5212. So we talk about what's happening and what's going on currently in the NBA and with the New York Knicks. Tony, we haven't even had a chance to talk about it for real. The Knicks are on a coaching search. We talked about Mike Brown. We talked a little bit about Taylor Jenkins. We talked about guys like Sam Cassell. You know what I mean? If we were to get a first-year coach. We talked about Johnny Bryant. What's your thoughts with what's happening right now with the Knicks, with the coaching search? Who do you prefer? We're hearing today Jason Kidd isn't off the table, right? Mike Brown, we're hearing, is right now the front runner in the eyes of the front office. I don't know. What do you think?
First off, shout out to the chat. Shout out to you, Sam. I know I told you, but happy Father's Day.
Appreciate it. Happy Father's Day
to all the
and
fathers
everybody else out there. We didn't get a chance to say it, so we're saying it now.
Yes, sir. And happy birthday to my daughter. Her birthday was yesterday.
No doubt. Happy birthday to her. Yeah.
Appreciate it. I like the fact that we still hearing Jason Kidd's not 100% off the table.
Right.
I think if I had a choice out of the names that were out there, he would probably be number one on my list. The reports are, or a report is that he was their main and number one guy. Whether they knew something ahead of time or not, you know what I mean? It's still kind of weird to have your main guy, a guy who has a job already,
right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
And not have that in the bag. But, who knows? Maybe there's some back channels going on. I know he wasn't happy with the Luka trade, as most Dallas fans and everybody wasn't. But they also just re-signed Kyrie.
Right.
He opted out and they re-signed him for 3 years. So he's going to be there long term. They got a good team. So it's not like, even though they got rid of Luka, it's not like they're in a situation where the ship is sinking. You know what I mean? Yeah. If everybody's healthy, that's still a dangerous championship caliber team.
Yeah.
So I just think that part is, I hope we could get him, but it's far-fetched in my opinion. And
the whole show of approaching other teams' coaches, I don't even know how I felt about it. It made me feel like Leon Rose and the front office felt like they were so much more above everybody. They had so much cachet that they could just, you know what, I'm going to take your coach, and there's nothing you could do about it. You know what I mean? It kind of made me feel that way. It made me feel like the Knicks didn't really have a plan, or if that was their plan, I thought it was flawed. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't even. I don't even think they could think that, because the other organization has to give the permission first,
right?
And as we've seen, it wasn't like coaches were declining. It was the organization saying, no, you can't talk to my coach.
Right.
You can't talk to my guy. And you know what I mean? Not only that, and maybe this is a outside ploy, but they getting coaches paid. You know what I mean?
That's
You
true.
know, they
That's
getting
true.
extensions
That's true.
and things of that nature. You know, Jason Kidd might be getting an extension. This may be a negotiating tactic on all sides. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Oh,
I
you're not
mean,
gonna let me talk to him? All right, well, you better extend me. You better show me you really want
right.
me.
You know, what about the mark that's put on coaches' back right now? Whoever is going to be the next coach of the Knicks, there's a tremendous amount of pressure. You know what I'm saying? A tremendous amount of pressure for that coach. And the front office set it up that way by saying, we're firing Tom Thibodeau in pursuit of a championship. We don't think he can win us a championship. We have a singular focus to win a championship. So this tells me that the next coach you bring in, you feel is going to win us a championship. And so now the pressure is on that coach to do no less than the conference finals, right? And not only that, they just saw what happened to Tom Thibodeau, who just got to the
Yeah,
conference finals. He got
I
fired.
don't. I don't think it's that. I think it's championship. Unfortunately,
Right,
I
championship.
agree with you 100%. That statement, it put they handcuffed themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even looking, you know, I like Sam Cassell. He would be my second favorite potential coach.
I do like Sam
But
Cassell.
chances are they're not going to go with a first year head coach.
Right. Because it's
You
not
know what I
going
mean?
because
So
it's not
they
going to
X
look
that right out as an option by putting that statement the way they said it.
Right out. They kind of X that out because, you know, a lot of fans, and I know there's some people in the chat that like Johnny Bryant. You know, to me, he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't, you know, and Sam Cassell hasn't done anything as a head coach, but he's been assistant coaching for 17 years. He's played in the NBA. He's got a lot of cachet with the players. He's got a lot of respect. He's coached under a lot of good coaches. You know, he won a championship with the Boston Celtics as a coach, as an assistant coach. You know what I mean? So, you know, there's something there that you can point to. I don't know if that same thing is with Johnny Bryant. You know what I mean? But you have a lot of people looking at him like, oh, so you believe Johnny Bryant is a championship coach? You believe Johnny Bryant is going to win the championship after you said what you said? Put a lot of pressure on that coach. If I was a coach, I'd be really, really reluctant to take the job. Or I'm going to say, I need a lot of money for hazard pay. I need some hazard pay dollars because you put an X on my back.
And I might not be here more than a year.
Word. You know what I'm saying? Because now everyone's watching. Leon Rose and everybody's watching. James Dolan is watching. The fans are watching. The players have this expectation now. Okay, you brought this guy is supposed to be the one. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of pressure on that coach. And you got to have somebody who knows how to deal with it, who can deal with it. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure if a guy like Johnny Bryant is going to be ready to deal with that. Sam Cassell, maybe. You know, so it's a tough situation, I think. And, you know, I'm not even sure. I don't even feel like the firing was needed to happen, but it's done, right? It's done and over with. Now you made it happen. You know, what was the idea going forward? I don't see a rhyme or reason with the coaches that they're looking for, that they've been interviewing. I don't see like a trend with these coaches to say, okay, we can see exactly what they're doing or what kind of coach they're looking for. I don't see that trend. You know what I'm saying? They come with different talents.
Wide scope.
Right.
Wide range.
Right. So, you know, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what it is that we're doing and how we're moving as far as the coaching search. You know, and this is the first time since this front office regime has been here that I've really questioned them. You know what I mean? The first time that I've really questioned them in their decision making. They've made a lot of good decisions, I feel like. You know what I mean? The last year, I've questioned their decisions. To be honest with you, I just have. You know, I mean I'm not really a fan of Karl Anthony Towns. I feel like the trade for Karl Anthony Towns changed the entire tenor of the team. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it just changed the entire mentality of the team. You know, when you took away two guys like Randall and DiVincenzo and you replaced them with Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns. Now, obviously, if the trade for Towns didn't go down, you would still have Mikal Bridges, but you would have had DiVincenzo and you would have had Randall. I feel like that team would have been in the NBA championship. I just do. I feel like that team would have beat Indiana. You know, we have more defensive versatility, more chemistry, more grit, better defensive team. You know, but I mean that's water under the bridge now. You know what I mean? This is the team we got. So you got to find someone who knows how to use these players. I don't know if I was Leon Rose in these interviews, it wouldn't just be a sit down across from you type of interview. You know, I need them standing up at the whiteboard, drawing out how they're using every player, because that's basically what you said, right? You know, the coach that we had, although we went to the Eastern Conference Finals, couldn't use the talent that was on his basketball team. So I want to make sure that you can use the talent. Show me how you use these guys. You know, and you know, it's a tough one. I don't know. Out of the coaches who we know that have been interviewed, who's your favorite?
Probably Mike Brown.
That's probably my favorite right now too, Mike Brown. I mean, I would love Jason Kidd.
Considering now again, personnel had a lot to do with it, but this is a offensive heavy starting five, and you look at what he did with Sacramento. I think they had a like an all-time offense at one of the years with him, but top 4 for like 2 or 3 of the years. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give him some of that credit, even though it was offensive talent, and I would say this team has a lot more offensive firepower than that team. Maybe not as young, maybe not as youthful, you know what I mean, but definitely more offensive weapons. So if that's what they're looking for, if that's what we're looking to unlock, you know what I mean, and maybe not lose so much defensively, you know what I mean, because he's still a defensive minded coach as well. So I think he gives the most balance, you know what I mean, and experience. Multiple years with the Kings, the Lakers, right? The Cavs.
Yep, the Cavs.
So,
you know, he's coached some very good basketball teams, obviously. With the Cleveland Cavaliers, you know, I mean, he had a couple of 60-win seasons, I think, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, if I'm not mistaken. You know, he coached LeBron James. You know, he was an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors, and he won championships with the Warriors. You know, so there, you know, he's coaching Steph Curry, he's coaching Draymond Green. You know, so he's coached star power.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which is, I think, a big feather in his cap. You know what I mean? The fact that he coached stars in the NBA. You know, he's got. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and the age of our, you know, our cast, you know, I think that's a benefit, as opposed to, like, you know, he had the issues at the tail end with the Kings, but those guys are a little bit younger. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Fox is probably 28, so he's probably right in that range too. But yeah, I think our guys would deal with him a little bit better. You know what I mean? Especially coming from Tibbs, or what knowing how to deal with that personality. I think he's gonna be a little bit more mellow, but still be a lot stern, have a lot of the same characteristics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree. And looking at his coaching record, and you can give a lot to LeBron if you want to, but 50 and 32 with the Cavs, 50 and 32 with the Cavs, 45 and 37 with the Cavs, 66 and 16 with the Cavs, 61 and 21 with the Cavs, and this is a young LeBron. This is before he went to Miami. The next season, he's in LA, 41 and 25. In 2012, 2013, he gets fired 5 games into the season. Then he's in Cleveland again, 33 and 49. Then he goes to Golden State as an assistant coach. He's there, from 2016 and 17 to 2021-22. And then he's in Sacramento, 48 and 34, 46 and 36. And then he's fired 31 games into the season. I mean, literally, he's had one bad season, one season below 500. You can't really count 5 games into the season. You can't really count 31 games into the season because both of those seasons, they could have turned it around. He's 3 games below 500 in 2012, 2013, 5 games below 500 in 24, 25. You know what I mean? So he's got a good coaching record. And he's got some accomplishments. You know what I mean? So I guess it would be hard to argue.
Safest guy.
Safe guy, right? I mean, how much of it is due to the personnel, though?
I mean, you still got to manage all these personalities, right?
True.
So you still got to give them credit, right? Because that's the main thing about coaching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially at that level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're not really molding men at that point. Right. You know what I mean? You're dealing with men.
Right. That's true.
So
that's true. I'd be okay with it. I'd be okay with it. I guess my only thing is, are his accomplishments in the NBA more than Tibbs? I mean, or what leads you to believe that he is a championship level coach? And I'm not trying to put him down. You know what I mean? Because Tibbs has similar type of records with maybe even less talent, to be honest with you. Besides Derrick Rose.
To me,
the early Derrick Rose years.
To me, that's for them. That's like, as much as we're gonna mention it, you know what I mean, and people are gonna mention it. That's for the front office to decide and live with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I still like Sam Cassell. I still hope that he get a fair shot, interview and opportunity to wow the front office and see what he could bring.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, like, if they go that route, they gotta live with the statement they made and you know what I mean, and moving forward. So whoever, that's the difference. You know what I mean? As much as I don't like the statement, it don't matter who they bring in because I think the level of pressure is the same.
Yeah.
First time head coach, championship coach, you know what I mean? Good record coach. Like, it don't matter who they bring in. The expectation, the level, the pressure, everything is the same.
It's there.
So you might as well give everybody a fair look and a fair shot and go from there. You know what I mean? So as much as I hate it did make it like, you know what? It is an even playing field in a sense.
Right. I mean, Mike Brown might be a guy that can handle the pressure, can handle the media. You know what I mean? He's been in some high stakes situations.
He's also, at the tail end of this Kings run.
Right.
He didn't have that same level of, I'm gonna just say, maturity, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? Like, he continuously throwing his best guy under the bus. Publicly putting blame on him in end of game situations or whatever the case, which I don't care if I don't remember that to be him throughout his career. Number one, and no matter when you do it or why you do it, it's a bad look.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if he knew what was going on and he was about to get let go anyway. Like maybe there was some internal pressure and tension between him and Fox, but that wasn't a good look.
Yeah.
And that's the most recent thing.
Right.
So I do got to point that out. As much as he is a veteran coach and professional, that was a weak point.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me get to Nick from Jersey on the line. Nick, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing tonight?
Chilling, man. You know, doing the best we can right now, trying to figure out what the Knicks are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I would not have fired Tibbs. You know how I feel about Tibbs.
Yeah.
I called in when they hired him, and I said something like, he's going to be here 6 years and he's going to get him a title. And I feel like they pulled the rug out from under that prediction and from under him, because I feel like if they had just run it back, the Knicks are in prime position now to get to the finals next year with the injuries in Boston and the injuries in Indiana. And I'm concerned that they're going to make a mistake here they're going to make the same mistake that they made in the 90s when they got rid of Riley and they went in the opposite direction. And they went with Nelson, who's a great coach, Don Nelson. But the team was not structured to win that way.
Exactly.
And I feel like if they go to a different schematic thing here, it's going to take the team a long time to adapt to that. And it might, and there's so much pressure on next season that next year is the year that they should make the finals because of the situation in the Eastern Conference, that, you know, they might not be able to do it next year because they need it's like year one all over again. Just the way this was year one with this new core.
Yep.
Next year is going to be year one under a new coach.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, it's happened before where they bring in a new coach and you win the championship right away, but got to be the right guy. And I don't know, man. It's just, you know, Tibbs had his flaws, but it seems like what they did here is they made a strategic level change over tactical considerations, you know, in-game considerations.
Right.
And the last 3 years with Brunson here and Tibbs, you know, they won 47 games in the regular season and 6 playoff wins. Then they won 50 games and 7 playoff wins, and it could have been more. And now they won 51 games and 10 playoff wins, and it probably could have been more if they didn't choke away game one.
Right.
And it's like it was steady progression, and now it's like, all right, you know, if you take that away because you want to put in a guy there who's going to maximize this lineup over that lineup, and you know this strategy, it's like it's fooling around a little bit too much, I think, with the chemistry of the team. But we'll see. Yeah. I think everybody that they're interviewing is a good coach, obviously. Mm-hmm. I personally don't think any of them are better than Tom Thibodeau, but
I agree.
You know, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to tell you something that bothers me. It's not even, I mean, I didn't want Tom Thibodeau to be fired. I didn't think he deserved to be fired.
Timing.
Right? But when I look at the beginning of the season, you get a major change in your lineup, right? You planned all season for one lineup. Now you get this major change in the lineup. Not only that, when as the season goes on, Mitch is down for 3/4 of the season. Precious is down for time during the season. Landry Shamit's down for time during the season, right? So you're patching together your bench, right? And you still make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And when you look at the rotation players in the Eastern Conference Finals, Cat, new to the basketball team. Mikal Bridges, new to the basketball team. OG, not new to the basketball team, but only there for half a season last year, right? Mm-hmm. Because he was brought in January. Campaign, new to the basketball team. Shamit, new to the basketball team. Wright, new to the basketball team, only was with the team for half a season. That's like 5 or 6 players in the rotation in the playoffs that were new to this basketball team, new to Tom Thibodeau, except for Cat. How can anyone? And I'm not saying that Tom Thibodeau is, the tactician that Carlisle is, right? But how could anyone expect him with a team that is half of the playoff rotation is new to be able to have the level of adjustments, in-game adjustments, or game-to-game adjustments that someone like Rick Carlisle would have with a team that he's been with for 3 years, except for maybe Pascal Siakam, right? And
exactly.
And OKC the same way, right? With the team that they've been able to keep together, for so many years. How can you expect that? I don't understand it. And you know what? This season was going to be another change in that bench lineup. There was going to be,
for sure.
Campaign probably wasn't going to be there. Shamit, right? They probably weren't going to be there this year. Even if Tom Thibodeau was brought back, and so you're looking at 3 new players in that lineup. How can you expect the same level of coaching when you have a new lineup? I don't think you can, because it takes time to learn your players' tendencies, to learn who reacts in what situations, to understand the best ways to use your players. It doesn't happen in one season.
And
exactly.
I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Tony.
Nah, I just wanted to say, like, I think what they wanted him to take more risk, and it's like for him, he knows what he lives and dies on, right? That's one thing about him. When he start making changes, that means it's the very end. You know what I mean? Like, that means there's no, like, he's finally given up on his plan, but his plan has got him the success that has got him. He's gotten the Knicks the success that has got him. You know what I mean? You want a risk taker. A risk taker comes with more mistakes as well.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you're gonna have to live with those mistakes. Where you got a guy who's willing to try something on the fly. You know what I mean? As opposed to saying, "Hey, this is what I know works. We do it and we do it right. We win." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah. Right. Somebody, I forget who it was. It might have been Ian Begley. Somebody wrote something. Thibodeau's stubbornness. It's not out of the realm of possibility to say that Thibodeau's stubbornness rubs off on the team, and that's why they were able to make all these comebacks in the playoffs. Like the players themselves are stubborn. They refuse to die, and Tibbs. Yes, there was a lot of information, a lot of data coming in during the playoffs saying that this lineup wasn't working well. But 2 points on that. One, the same lineup that wasn't working well was working amazing in the fourth quarter. So if it's going to work amazing, the starting lineup with Hart, the original starting lineup with Hart, that was a plus 14 in the fourth quarter of the playoffs. And it was like -3 or -4 in the first quarter. Okay, if something could be a plus 14 in the fourth quarter, in theory, it could work in the first quarter.
Exactly.
And it wasn't working in the first quarter, but he wasn't making the changes because they were in control of both of those series. They were up 3-1 in the first round, and they were up 3-1 in the second round.
Right.
And why would you mess with something? Okay, sure, the data says it's not working, but the data is supposed to give you information on what to do. The results are what matter.
Right. The results.
So if you're in control of the series, anyway, if you're up 3-1 in a series, why are you going to mess with the starting lineup?
Right.
So as soon as they lost the first 2 games in the ECF, he made the change in the starting lineup. And, people say, oh, he did it too late. It's like, well, no, they won more playoff games than, all but 2 teams this year. So it's like, it's really.
Even with that argument that he did it too late in the Eastern Conference Finals, think about it. They were up 17 with that lineup, right? In the first game. They blew it down the stretch and lost. But for all intents and purposes, that was a win for the Knicks and a loss for Indiana. Indiana had to make the adjustments, not the Knicks. The Knicks could come in and say, if we do the same things, we close the game, we win, right? So, of course, you're going to come back in game 2 with the same lineup. Why wouldn't you come back in game 2 with the same lineup? You had a double-digit lead throughout the entire game until you blew it down the stretch. Why wouldn't you come back with the same lineup in game 2?
Exactly. coaches make at least 50 major decisions per game, and even elite coaches, they're going to make 5 mistakes per game, at least. And then there's another 5 decisions that are kind of like coach's preference. You could bring in another guy. He might make different mistakes. You know what I'm saying? He might have different things. He might do something that Tibbs wouldn't do and it works, but then he's going to do something else that Tibbs wouldn't do and it doesn't work.
Right.
So they're making decisions about this, about in-game, how to maximize the in-game tactical level stuff of the basketball. Great, cool, fine. But you better also get a guy who's able to ride the team through the full season the way Tibbs is, and who's able to adapt game to game the way Tibbs was able to adapt game to game.
Exactly.
Okay, because if we're not up 3-1 in the first round, and if we're not up 3-1 in the second round next year, we're playing worse. I don't care what the plus minus is of a particular lineup. If we're not up 3-1 in the first 2 rounds next season, our playoff performance is worse next year.
Yeah.
We're not as in control of the situation. That's all. And they say, we got lucky because of Bronson heroics. It's like every team that wins gets lucky because of the heroics of their players. You're telling me that, I noticed that none of the Indiana Pacers fans were upset over the fact that they were winning series after series over unbelievable comebacks and lucky shots and stuff. They were just happy that they were winning. It's like, that's the way, that's how you win in sports. You have to be good. You have to be healthy, and you got to be a little bit lucky. Yep. So the Knicks got a little bit lucky because we have 2 all-star, So anyway, I'm last time I'm going to talk about Tom Thibodeau. I promise next season I'm not going to lament Thibodeau if they're struggling. But
I'm gonna try. It's going to be tough.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, but trust me, the media will do that for us. But my personal prediction, my personal hope is I think Jason Kidd will find his way here, and I think he's got the cachet, the pizzazz, the basketball IQ to come here. He's one of the best point guards of all time. Our current best player is a point guard. He's already played with him. It just makes sense. Bring him in. Maybe he could maximize his team a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. He would be, if the Knicks can get an interview with him, he would be my number 1 guy. If we can get an interview with Jason Kidd. If not, out of the people that they interviewed, it would be Mike Brown because of the resume. I'm not like head over heels jumping backwards over Mike Brown. He's a good coach, but Jason Kidd would definitely be the guy that I would want if the Knicks can get an interview with him.
And I'm open to Mike Woodson as well. I don't know how old he is. I think he's getting up there, but Mike Woodson's still around, and he's got the personality, and he's got the defensive knowledge as well.
Right.
And I feel like that, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want them to change philosophies entirely, where now all of a sudden they become an offensive team. The reason they lost, in my opinion, is because of defensive issues, and that was due to lack of chemistry and personnel. So bring in another guy who could fix the defense. That's what I want.
Yeah, no doubt. Nick, I appreciate it always, man.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.
Peace. Yeah, it's a lot to think about when it comes to this coaching search, coaching change. If we can get Jason Kidd, I would love it. Get Jason Kidd. Get Jason Kidd all day. If we can get Jason Kidd, that would be the move. That would be the move. We got Silk getting ready to come up. We'll talk a little bit more about the coaching stuff, but then I want to talk about the changes going on in the NBA and how they impact the Knicks in the Eastern Conference. These injuries that, a lot of things impact the Knicks. What our expectations are, early, with injuries and trades and all that kind of stuff going on with the New York Knicks. Well, not with the Knicks, but other teams in the Eastern Conference. Silk, what's popping with you, bro?
Welcome back, brother. It's been a minute, Sim. What up, Tony?
It's been like a week and a half.
Happy vacation.
Yeah, no vacation. So what's up, man? What we doing? What we doing? What?
Yeah, you can be reading my brother because I was getting ready to go to this crazy stuff that's going on because I don't know, is Toronto helping out Boston somehow? They helped out Boston to get a chip by bringing Butler over there to get a chip. Now they giving him 2 second-round picks to get him back. Is there some kind of thing going on with Toronto? I mean, Portland and Boston. How you going to give 2 second-rounders for a guy who's making that much money at his age? You supposed to be getting picks. How you giving up picks?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Are you that desperate that you can't get free agents and you need to make trades to get good players into your team that you giving picks up?
I don't know. What are the Celtics doing?
Well, they got to get on that
I
second.
think the Celtics
they know
won that.
Tatum's not there. They got to get on that. They don't want to pay that second luxury tax and lose have their pick frozen. After Tatum got his ACL, they had to get under where we at, under the just below the second luxury. They had to do that.
Right.
Because I think if Tatum was healthy, they probably would have rolled out one more year, let Porzingis come off the cap, and did that way. But after he got hurt, you gonna pay a whole year, and you may not even get out the first round. So, and it's new ownership. You know how new ownership is. Coupon City.
Yeah.
But my thing was bothering me, Sim, because I when I was calling you guys before, I was wondering why the guys we signed last year to two-way, all 3 of them was free agents, and the guy Fritz from the NBA Economy show that sometimes be on with Uncle Freezy and them.
Yeah.
But he explained to me that basically Beauchamp and Watson, the reason why they're not two-ways no more is their age requirement took them off the two-way. Too many years. So that's why they – and I didn't know this. He said if you sign somebody for a two-way, that you got to re-sign them the next year after the end of the year to the two-way again. I thought if you sign somebody for a two-way, that holds for 2 years unless you take them off the two-way. But he said, no, you got to redo it. I don't remember Sims. We have to keep signing Sims after the end of every year to another two-way.
Yeah, they're essentially one-year contracts.
I didn't know that. I'm like, that shocked me. But I'm with you, sir. I want Kid. I don't know what Kid trying to do to get uptown because they replacing all his assistants, basically like what they did with the Jenkins dude. So why would he want to stay and what's taking so long?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the assistants are. I mean, one of them took a lateral move. His main assistant, the guy right under him, he took the same position somewhere else, and I think other guys were interviewing for higher positions.
Right, they didn't renew their contract, so that means they looking for new people. Shamgar's going. I don't want to lose Shamgar. Kid come here. I want Shamgar with him. And Shamgar's looking for a new job.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Kid is telling his assistants, go find your job somewhere else because they're not looking to bring you back.
And this is last year too, Kid. So if they're not going to extend him, they might as well let him talk.
I thought he had a 3-year extension. And it was signed last year. So I think he got 2 more years, don't he?
Oh, I read this was that he's looking, or maybe he's looking to renegotiate.
Right, exactly. But because he can get 4 years from us, and he only got 2 years with them. But,
let's see.
Well,
Let's
I
see.
don't know.
I'm looking up now.
This is some crazy stuff.
Contract.
Now Porzingis up there with Atlanta and Trae Young. This one weird stuff. And now I'm hearing that Drew Holiday saying he don't want to be in Portland.
Yeah, he
So
wasn't
how's that
happy.
gonna work?
He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy about being traded. That's the rumor that's out there. I wouldn't be happy.
And like you said, they gave up 2 picks. So it's like if they gotta move off from now, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be hard to get what you gave up.
Exactly. I know. I see Portland's position. No, they almost like Minnesota. Free agents don't want to go there. So the only way they can get good players, they got to trade for them. But you had to know the first time when you got Drew Holiday, he didn't want to stay there. So why would you trade for him again and give up picks? I don't know.
I don't know.
And what the Wizards are doing, the AARP club, Smart,
I mean,
Middleton, and now CJ McCollum.
But they might be competitive though. CJ McCollum is still good.
That's what I was saying.
I was hoping that we could buy out Middleton for like $5 million.
You got Marcus Smart over there.
Yeah.
You got some nice young veteran guards. I mean, you got some nice veteran guards around some young athletic bigs.
And you got some crafty vets over there.
And basically, they all coming off contract at the end of the year. So basically, they'll have like $150 million in free agency money to buy players if they ever want to do that. But I was hoping that they would buy out Middleton and we could steal him like for $5 million. But I heard that Washington don't do that. They get these big money contracts. They just let them expire, like they did with Porzingis. They don't buy out. So,
yeah.
But we got to see. Actually, I don't want Mike Brown. I don't want Mike Brown. Something about Mike Brown. I don't like coaches in New York.
Okay, so let's say you can't get Jason Kidd. Let's say you can't get Jason Kidd. Who are you getting?
Jenkins. I'd rather go with the Memphis dude. Jenkins. He plays his whole rotation. He got a defensive mentality, and I think they talking to these other assistants like the Minnesota assistant who's going to be the first assistant head coach. They're talking to those guys to try to bring them over with the defensive coach. So they're going to have Jenkins as the defensive coach. They can't get kids, and they're going to look for one of these offensive coaches.
So
from another team.
You don't want the head coach to pick his assistant coaches. You want the Knicks. You want Leon Rose to choose the assistant coaches.
No, I think they're gonna let him pick his assistant coaches, but the head assistant coach who's gonna help him on the offensive side of the ball, I think the Knicks gonna choose that. That he can pick his other ones, but the guy who's right below him, because he's a defensive coach to help him on the offensive side, if that's not his strong suit, I think the Knicks gonna decide who that is. Just like the first year they tried to do it with Thibodeau, but then they brought in Johnny Bryant after that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. See, Tibbs and Leon Rose are friends, so I'm sure he trusted the judgment, whatever. If I'm a coach, I'm not happy with my president choosing my assistants, because think about the pressure that's on this coach. We just talked about it.
I want to lose my way if I'm going to lose.
Exactly. I'm going to lose my way with my players. I'm not going to lose your way. I got to lose my way. Now, if you think that our ways align, cool. If you think our philosophies align, cool. That's great. But I want my assistant coaches and I want my players. If I think I can win with the players that's on there, cool. But if I want a player, I need you to go get them. Or a player or similar type player or whatever. I can't. I gotta win or lose my way if my job depends on it.
But you don't think this is what they talked about in the interview? I think Leon Rose is bringing this up to them in the interview.
I'm sure, but I'm just saying, if I'm a coach and he says, "How do you feel about me hiring your assistants?" I'll be like, "I don't want the job."
Not your assistants, your elite assistants to help you on the offensive side of the ball. If you're talking to a defensive guy like Jenkins, I'm gonna introduce some guys who are strong on the offensive side to assist you on the offensive side. I know you got to worry about the defense. If you're talking Mike Brown, who's the offensive coach,
this ain't football, bro.
Yo, I mean, because I got as a head coach, I have my philosophies. So I want to bring in coaches that have the same philosophy as me. You know what I'm saying? So that I want to bring in coaches that when we are in the coaches room, we're in the war room, we're coming up with our strategy, we're coming up with our plan. We might have some differences in how we get there, but we have the same idea. We have the same philosophies. There may be some differences, and we break those things down. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And then when the message goes out to the players, it's the same message that's going out to the players. Me, I feel like if I have somebody else choosing my assistant coaches and we don't have the same philosophy, is my message the message that we came up with as a group, is that really getting out to the players? Or is that coach kind of like, nah, this is what he wants. This is what I think should happen, but this is what he wants. Nah, I need the coaches I need people that I trust. If I'm staking my claim and my career on this job. There's a lot of pressure on it. I have expectations to win a championship. I know I got the coaches. I just seen Tom Thibodeau get fired after he went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I know I got my boss breathing down my back. We got the owner breathing down my back. Hell no. I want my guys in there. I want my guys in there.
Sir. But you got to look at it on Leon Rose slide, too. He knows this is it for him now. He don't want a coach in there who's going to be like, it's my way or the highway, and don't want to listen to input and don't want to take advice from people outside,
but I don't
within
think,
the organization.
I don't think it has to do with not listening to input, right? I don't think it has to do with that.
He wasn't listening.
I don't think it has to do with not listening to input to say that I want my coaches and people that I trust and people that I know can bring forth my vision. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you have some ideas about what we can do. You've seen the team play. You got some ideas. Let me hear what it is you got to say. I take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think it sets up a bad. I think that's bad. I just think it's bad to do that, and for the president to say this is how we. That's what Phil Jackson did with Jeff Hornacek and Derek Fisher. How'd it work out?
Well, he tried to pick the system. We need to run the triangle. He wasn't just picking the coach. He was telling him what kind of system to run.
But I mean,
that's different.
But that's kind of the same thing because you pick a coach.
No,
you pick a coach.
The coaches are giving advice to the. You just listen to advice of the other coaches. You ain't got to be a mandate from your boss that you got to run this particular type of system.
No, but I don't want to run that system. But if you say I'm going to bring in an assistant coach that is a tactician offensively that can do this, that, this, and that, it's kind. You may not be saying you got to run the triangle, but you're saying, I really don't think you can do it offensively, so I'm going to bring this guy in that's going to bring forth my vision of what this team can do.
Because that might not be your. Why do you think they brought Woody in with Tibbs for the first time? Because they knew they didn't trust Tibbs on the offense, so they brought in Woody to be his elite assistant head coach to help Tibbs with the offense. That's why they brought in Woody.
Man.
They didn't let Tibbs pick Woody.
I don't know, man. I think Tibbs probably had some input on those guys that were brought
slowly after he had a good first year and Woody left. Then they let him slowly start bringing his guys in.
I think just because an assistant coach, I don't think it necessarily means because an assistant coach is hired beforehand that the guy who was hired as the head coach didn't have any input because there's always back channel discussions. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, because to me, Woody and Tibbs are similar coaches, similar mindsets, a better offensive coach. Similar philosophies.
Woody's more flexible.
Is he? Because I recall when he was the head coach of the New York Knicks, a lot of people was pissed off that he was allowing Carmelo Anthony to isolate his ass off.
True. I ain't gonna lie.
Right?
My favorite, Steph, my favorite Woody story, right? When I forgot the player's name, he goes, "What's your name? Is your name Carmelo? Is your name ain't Carmelo? You don't take that shot." That was my favorite Woody story. He let Carmelo do what he wanted to do. I ain't gonna lie about that one. I ain't gonna lie.
By the way, for everybody out there, I'm watching Ben Simmons right now knock down mad jumpers. I'm gonna just put that out there. I'm gonna leave it be. I'm gonna leave it be. I'm just letting you know what I'm watching.
I don't need no bad back Ben Simmons. He come here and get his paycheck, and now he got a bad back half the season. I don't need no bad back Ben Simmons. I know you think he's a ball handler.
Veteran minimum. Say that again, baby. Veteran minimum. That man might be ready. I don't know. He's knocking down jumper after jumper. He's shooting a rock.
I want them. What's the name? Brogdon from the Washington Wizards, but it look like they ain't letting none of them vets go. So I wanted one of them vets for us on the buyout. That's what I wanted. Either
they got Brogdon
Middleton, CJ McCullough, or Brogdon.
The Wizards got Brogdon too?
Yeah, I think they got Brogdon, Smart, Middleton, and Smart. I think they got them on their team. I saw somebody showing that cap hold. So they got a heavy cap hold, but all them guys are coming off at the end of the next year. Where we're going to be getting only 2 second-round picks instead of first-round picks. Because they ain't making the playoffs. Half them guys going to be hurt by half the season.
I don't know. If they want contracts, they might all be in their best shape.
But
every single one of them.
Tony, Father Time, you can't beat Father Time. I don't care how much money you want. Father Time will say your bones are starting to hurt.
We see it year after year. Players playing their best when it's contract time.
Yeah.
They be hurt. They've been hurt 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
That last year, they having a career year.
Career year. Word. Cooking.
They do. Then we might get that pick. We might get 2 first-round picks next year. But we ain't getting none this year. But I don't see it.
We'll see.
But fellas, I don't know what we're gonna do. But that's my pick. Kid first. He got to try his little whatever match he does to turn people off, because there's something going on in Dallas. They get rid of all of his sisters. They not offering him an extension. Something funny going on in Dallas. So if we can get Kid, great. My second choice is Jenkins over Brown. And I don't know, that guy from Minnesota, he be cracking too much crazy jokes for me. I'm like, how that gonna fly in New York?
Yeah, he's saying a lot of stuff.
I don't know. At halftime, we losing, and he talking about some Godzilla jokes or some other. I don't know how that's gonna fly in New York. Especially if we be mad we losing, and he cracking jokes.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we'll see. Welcome back.
Appreciate it,
Been
bro.
a minute.
Appreciate it. No doubt.
All right, yo.
All right, peace. Yeah, I don't know, man. This coaching search is I don't know. It's gonna be funny. Whoever we hire, half the people's gonna like them, half the people's not gonna like them. It's gonna be the same thing. I can guarantee it. It's gonna be the same exact thing. Shout out to Ron Dude 1973 for becoming a member. I appreciate you, my brother. Another person. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think we need a personality. we need somebody who's gonna come up to the podium like, yeah, we winning the championship. Put the pressure on me. You know what I mean? I accept that Drake.
Yeah, we got my man, Mr. Dunbar, on the line. What's poppin' with you, bro?
Rex Ryan coaches football, not basketball, Tony Crow. What's going on, fellas? How we doing?
Man? We trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, I'm still in mourning. I don't know when I'm getting out of it exactly.
Okay.
And I'm still. I know Tibbs had to go. But I wake up every day when I think about the Knicks, and I hedge my bets with him leaving. But I always come back to this. He's one of the most successful coaches in Knicks history.
Yeah.
With one of the worst playoff home records. I think he may have the worst playoff home record. And that gets you fired.
But see, I think
when you're up 17 with 3 and change to go, that gets you fired.
Yeah, I don't know. I think how many coaches in Knicks history have been to the Eastern Conference Finals?
And look at it. I think it's only 4.
Only 4
right?
in Knicks history.
I think it's only 4.
Jeff
I think
Van
it's
Gundy,
Holtzman,
Pat
Riley, Van Gundy, and Tibbs.
And Red. Of course.
Right? So, and you look at their playoff record, you look at their home playoff records. Off the top of my head, Tibbs is the worst.
Okay.
And as much as I loved him and really respected what he did here, Sims, because a lot of these fans, when I see them in the chat and I hear them, whatever, I'm like, you think David Fisdale was 10 years ago?
Right.
It's just the other day.
So let me ask you this though: if the Knicks have if they have one of the worst home playoff records, because they've been to the Eastern Conference semifinals twice, they've been to the Eastern Conference championship once, right? Then what's their away record compared to these other coaches?
Here's the thing.
Because in order to get there, you had to win some games.
That's a nice flip, right? But here's the thing. The owner is sitting right there. This is his building. Okay? This is his building. He doesn't want to see losses in his building.
I mean, but it's sports. It's going to happen.
Do you remember that 50-point loss a couple of years ago in the regular season against Boston?
Mm-hmm.
Right? When Kemba Walker lit us up in the Garden, all of management before the game was over was marching into his office.
That was the fist down.
Yeah, but but look at what was going on with the team. I mean, see, my thing is this. I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter. Right? He could be listening right now. I don't know. You know, he was worried about process. I was worried about results. You know what I'm saying? To me, you know, you're gonna have processes. That's great, but the results is what matters to me. You know what I'm saying? And the results each year have been better besides one. And we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, those are the undeniable results. Right? The undeniable results. And you look at the team that we lost to, if Halliburton didn't get hurt in the championship, they very well could be the NBA champions.
Yes.
Right? They very well could be. I'm not saying they would have won, but they could have won the NBA championship if Holly didn't get hurt in the NBA Finals, right? And you look at those teams, and you look at how long those rosters have been intact, and then you look at our team, and and let's go back and let's see how many players Coach Tom Thibodeau coached since the time he's been here. Right? He coached the carousel of players.
I don't disagree with you.
Every year.
You understand? I don't disagree with you. But when you have forces in the building that don't like you.
That's true.
Remember, they wanted to fire him a couple of years ago. Leon had to put a squelch to that. You make look, game 2, you're in striking distance in your building. The man who's making $54 million is sitting on the bench. That gets you fired. That will get you fired because you don't even have to ask when they had those exit meetings and they talked to him. You think he was happy sitting on the bench when the game? But they brought him here for that.
Well, if his ass can't play defense, and that's what you need. I mean, think about the type of defense that Cat plays.
I don't disagree. See, this is the thing. We're always going to dip on this rocky road because look at the defense that he played. Ewing never dropped 20 points in the fourth quarter in the playoffs.
You said Ewing?
Willis Reed never dropped 20 points in the fourth quarter in the playoffs. And he did it with ease.
But the issue is he doesn't always do it like that.
Now you've interjected something else in the conversation.
He doesn't always do it like that. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. You know, when it comes to that aspect, he's going to give you. I mean, you know, he can be up and down. He can fade away from the offense. His defense is always kind of sloppy.
And I'm gonna stab you because you stabbed us earlier. You know, the moments he had this playoff run here, the Detroit, the Boston, Randall only dreamed to be that successful.
And okay, you know that's cool. I can dig that. That's cool. But I also think there has to be there's something that has to do with chemistry and playing both sides of the basketball, not just did one player have these type of performances, right? Because I still feel.
When's the last time you saw Joker play defense?
I mean, I get it, right? But for that team, it might have worked. For this team, in my opinion, his shortcomings on defense hurt us a lot of times. Hurt us. It's one of the reasons why you've seen OG and him arguing on the bench in the playoffs because of his shortcomings on the defensive side. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna front. I'm not a Cat fan, and it's not even about Randall. I'm just not a Cat fan. And
no, I know. I was just throwing out the obvious. I was just throwing out the obvious.
I don't know. I think, obviously the players had something to say about Tom Thibodeau, but I just, it's so many things that I don't understand, right? You get a guy, first of all, if you look at the amount of players that he coached over the years, one can argue that he's been adjusting the entire time he's been a Knicks coach. He's been adjusting, right, with the amount of players that's been in and out of the lineup. You know what I mean? He's just been adjusting every single year. New starting lineups, new bench players, all the time. Every year that he's been here, there's been a change in the roster. You know what I mean? And then just before training camp.
Let me ask you something to say.
Hold on. Let me get this out. Just before training camp, he gets a new almost a new squad just before training camp. Right? Now, before then, he gets extended. So me and Tony were talking about this, and Tony brought it up. Leon Rose had to go to James Dolan and say, extend the coach. I'm going to convince you to extend the coach because of whatever. So you got to have some proof that why am I extending him, right? You got to have some proof there. So he gets extended. And then before training camp, the day before training camp, whatever it is, you get a whole roster change for the most part. You have two bench players, and Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart, who one is gone. Now one is in the starting lineup, so your bench is totally depleted. Where you knew right off the bat that you had 8 strong players off the bench. Right off the bat, you knew that. You know what I'm saying? Now it switches. Okay? You go through the season. Mitch is hurt 3/4 of the season. Precious is hurt. Landry Sham is not there. We just talked about this earlier, right? You're patching your bench together. You got guys who was almost out the league playing on your bench, people expecting them to produce like they're this, that, and the third, right? And you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now Leon Rose has to go. It's just so added. Got to go to the talk to the owner and say, yeah, let's fire the guy that we just extended last year. We just extended him for 3 years. Let's fire. First, he's got to go and convince to make the trade for Cat. Right? Now he's got to go say, yeah, I know we gave him no bench and we made a move just before training camp. He made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but let's fire him. Let's get him out of here. After every single year, this team getting better too. I mean, like you got to go to your coach and say all of that. So either Tom Thibodeau did something really egregious, or some of the players like really, really threw him under the bus, and then James Jones had a knee-jerk reaction. It's hard for me to see that Tom Thibodeau did anything egregious, though. I don't know.
You don't think? Now, remember something. When they lost that lead in Game 1, Tim,
yeah,
it had never happened in the history of mankind.
Didn't OKC do something like that, similar in the NBA Finals?
No. It ain't never happened in the history of mankind. It was like 2,700, whatever, and 0-0, and now 1. And who holds that distinction? The Knicks.
Okay.
No, it's two. I mean, it happened to OKC too.
It happened to OKC, right?
Afterwards, though.
Yeah.
After us.
After us, it happened to OKC. In game
Same
one.
odds.
In game one.
Now it could be a fad, right? Reggie Miller never hit 5 3-pointers in whatever 6 in the fourth quarter. Those are egregious things. And like I said, I'm torn.
Shit. Didn't Reggie Miller hit like 3-4 joints in like 8 seconds?
Who was Tibbs guarding?
Let me ask you. Okay, I get that, but let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Okay, you're up 14 with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And they're about to play hack or whatever. Right. So if they're gonna play hack or whatever in order to stop the clock to get more possessions and whatever, what do you do? Do you allow them to just do that, or you play hack or whatever, and keep your lead and go to the free throw line and keep your lead? I'm not no coach. Let them play one on the podcast. That's simple math right there.
Man.
How many free throws?
That's simple math right there.
Man, those players were supposed to finish that game out. Come on. 2 minutes, 14 points. You can finish that out without a coach. I'm telling you.
Free throws.
You missed.
We had turnovers.
Is that what we doing now? We gonna do AI chat GPT coach on the sidelines? Is that what we doing?
You're up 14 with 2 minutes left. How can
His job is not over. He don't get to sit back and kick his feet up.
I'm not saying his job is over. What I'm saying is the players on the court got to take that responsibility, in my opinion. 2 minutes left in the game and you're up 14. You're missing free throws. You're taking bad shots that you didn't have to take.
You showed me when they fired 12 guys. Ever. Somebody has to take the fall. Okay? And like I said, I'm torn on this. Not like I didn't think they were firing him. On that Sunday afternoon when I heard it, I was like, what?
I was shocked
I had to come over the car.
I was shocked too. I was like, what? This got to be a joke.
Right? Well, I thought it was just like you. But every day, when I go over it back and forth in my mind, it's like, I'm sorry, you got to go. You got to get this. Yeah. You know what the problem is? It looks bad for them afterwards because it looks like they didn't have a plan.
No, it looked bad in the moment, bro. Bro, we've gotten better under Tibbs every single year.
Every single year, man.
Advance further.
Further.
So if we get to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, and this is the first time he had this roster together, and we know what his track record is in this organization, why is it out of the realm of possibility that next year we get to the finals and continue to advance?
Especially looking at what it is right now.
Listen, all I'm saying is, what was the analogy I said the other day? It was goaltending, because the trajectory was still going up. They thought we peaked. They thought he peaked, but I don't think he peaked. It was still going up, bro.
Yeah, I don't think the team peaked. It couldn't have. I mean, it's a brand new roster. 5 new players for this basketball team. 5 new players were playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. 5 players that weren't on this team last year playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know. And I think now, let's put it like this. Now, right now, when you look at the Eastern Conference, I guarantee you stability on its own could get you to the NBA championship. And we gave up our stability.
They just didn't see it. Like coming into the season,
and that's kind of neat. And it was knee jerk.
Did you believe that this team coming into the season was a championship?
Nope.
Could win it all?
Nope. Nope.
Not this year.
Not this year. I felt like because it was a new basketball team, we needed time to build chemistry. We needed time to grow, figure out how to play together, and I still believe that. And we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals anyway.
Despite
that, and beat the champs while they were healthy. I don't care what nobody says. You know what I'm saying? And now you look at the Eastern Conference and you're like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Now we've got to go through, like Nick was saying earlier, we've got to go through basically having year one all over again. And hopefully that coach is really good and can get us there. But we gave up stability now. We gave up stability where stability probably wins the Eastern Conference. Because what team, if Tibbs was still here, what team would have as much stability in the Eastern Conference right now as the Knicks?
Yeah.
Right? Because of injuries
right.
and all that kind of stuff.
You're right.
We gave that advantage up. So we got to hope the next guy comes in. He got to be it, man.
Look, like I said, I'm torn on it, but I don't. In my mind's eye, I don't trust him, and I didn't trust Tibbs in the big moment.
Okay, let me ask you this, AD. Why did it have to happen then? Why couldn't we wait until we see how things played out in the Eastern Conference as far as the NBA Finals? I mean, we look at everything right now. Their decision may have been totally different right now if they held off.
Not only that, but if you fire him, if you don't fire him now, like you're saying, maybe they don't fire him. You know what I mean? Maybe they change their mind. But I think if they hired somebody immediately, the only advantage of firing him that soon, like 48 hours after the loss, the only advantage to that is if you bring in the next coach in, and he's got a head start.
Right.
But the way things is looking, you know what I mean? Like the longer this plays out with the coaching, with the coaching search, then we're losing advantage. We're now becoming behind the ball.
Behind the eight ball, right. We
you
don't
know
have a coach.
Like, we're about to be in the draft.
We're about to be in the draft.
We're about to be in summer league.
Right.
Like these are things that you want your coach, his philosophy, his ideas, him getting to look at these young guys to see if they gonna get any playing time and who's grown. Like it makes no sense. That's why from the jump I said it was James Dolan, and it's his team. He has the right, but it was James Dolan meddling because it is no way. Even if Leon Rose is too logic, like he uses logic. He's not gonna make a emotional decision, irrational decision. This was Dolan jumping the gun, and the front office got to live with it. I feel like. Yep. And my biggest problem with the whole thing is not even firing Tibbs. It's the statement they put out, because the statement they put out is going to put that pressure immediately on whomever the next coach is. It takes away the chance for a young up and comer to come in with a clean slate. There's no clean slate for whoever comes in.
Yeah.
The expectation is championship.
Yeah. You know, and you know,
there's no room for growth. Like,
I mean, the whole thing with stability is gone now, because, like you're saying, like we would have an idea, not the fans, but Tom Thibodeau and that coaching staff would kind of know who they want out of this second round draft pick, number 50. Right? We'd already know. I mean, who's gonna be coaching summer league, who's gonna be, they would already, we wouldn't know, but they'd have an idea. I'm sure they have an idea who's gonna be on the roster. You know what I'm saying? But who's putting in? But who's instilling? We talk about the young players developing, right? Who's instilling what the new coach wants in summer league with these young players when you don't know who that new coach is? Like,
I get it.
Summer league is supposed to be the beginning. You're bringing in rookies. You're bringing in players that you want. It's the beginning of saying, here is what we do so that you can have a chance now to make the roster, play in the regular season, so on and so forth. We have none of that.
Not even just the rookies, but the year 2 players. This is their chance to kind of step into a bigger role, show their growth. You know what I mean? They might not have had a role last year. They might get a small role this year. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's not the rookies might not play, not just because of Tom Thibodeau, but a lot of rookies, and I think all rookies should earn their way into the rotation and their spots and all that. But the guys, the guys like Huck Porty, who kind of was in the rotation, earned his way into it, and maybe looking to take a next step. Guys like that, you know what I mean? Guys that could have a definitive role, but now have no direction.
Yeah.
I'm there with you on it, but here's another thing that I don't think we've looked that much into. And it's the fact that he was having communication problems with the team. And it was rearing its ugly head in the worst times. That's just a fact. When a guy who you trade 5 picks, 4 unprotected, plus 2 players, in the middle of the season comes out and says, I'm tired. That never went away.
But this is where I have a problem, right? Because to me, it has to be as much on Leon Rose as it is Tom Thibodeau, because our players last year wouldn't have cared about that shit. They'd have been like, you know what, we balling for our guy. We're hooping for our coach. Because, all these people is complaining about injuries and guys going to get hurt, this, that, and the third. And we've seen injuries impact other teams and guys who supposedly got less minutes. And we've seen these type of injuries impact these other teams. And we worried about the minutes and all of those things. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he loses that communication with last year's team, because that team was on the same page.
But here we go again.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Leon Rose, I think, has some fault in that, because the tenor of this basketball team changed with Cat and Mikal Bridges. I think if Mikal Bridges,
I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's where I'm going with the communication.
Mm-hmm.
Tibbs coached Cat before. You're making this trade. You're not consulting your coach. Here's communication again. You think Tibbs was like, yo, gotta have him?
No, I don't.
No.
So then is Leon Rose making basketball winning decisions or business decisions to prepare for somebody else later down the line, knowing that Tom Thibodeau and this guy really ain't gonna mix. They're not really gonna mix. You know what I'm saying? Mikal Bridges, I think, was a surprise to everybody with the way that with things that he did and not wanting to get touched and didn't have the physicality and all that kind of stuff. I think that was kind of a surprise to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, I hate to say this. I really do. In my heart of hearts, my gut tells me that this firing of Tom Thibodeau, where it did, is leading to the downfall of this basketball team. I really feel that way. Because I feel like we had a knee-jerk reaction. We pulled the rug out from under the team when the trajectory was going up. I feel like we threw a monkey wrench in it. I could understand if he plateaued and you say, okay, we gotta, all right, we've had the same roster for 3 years. He can't get us there. Now we need someone that can get this roster to get this roster there. That didn't happen. This roster had constant turnover. You had stability with a few players, but constant turnover. You still get to the Eastern Conference Final, and it's like a knee-jerk pullout. I feel like we'll be good. We'll be good. We'll be decent, but I don't think we're gonna. I don't know. I just have this gut feeling we're not gonna get there because we. And it started last year. We were doing everything. Look at OKC, right? They built that team. They built that team. The Knicks were kind of on that trajectory. We built it, but with we had young players, and then we made good signings and things, right? And then it's like we tried to cash in the chips. I don't know. I feel like we got some bad mojo with what we just did.
Hopefully,
hopefully
that's not the case. I don't think Tibbs will get another job again at this age. He can still coach. He can still lead an organization. So, I wish him well on that. But,
I feel like
it comes back. It comes again. And comes back to game 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're staking everything on 2 guys. Obviously not Jalen Brunson, but Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns that don't have the medal. That's what I feel. That don't have the medal. I feel like we're staking our claim with those guys that don't have the medal.
I don't know if they don't have the medal, right?
I don't think
agree
they do,
with
man.
you. I agree with you that Bridges, he surprised me a lot in playoffs, shying away from contact, playing against smaller guys and not taking advantage. His shot was just broken. But I don't know if they don't have the medal. I saw, we all saw Cat hit a shot behind the backboard against Detroit that was just amazing. Cat hit a setback at the right side beyond the 3-point line, down 1 for 3, and he should have had and 1. Amazing. Bigs don't do that.
Right. I agree. But I just don't think he has the medal to take us there. I don't. I don't think he. I don't think he has the medal.
Like I said, I'm still in mourning. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. I'm not gonna put that in the air. We're gonna figure this out. But anyway, gentlemen, thanks for letting me rock again. Y'all know what it is, man. It's Knicks family for life, ever and ever.
No doubt. Peace. Appreciate you, brother. Peace.
Peace, man.
Peace, Fred.
Coach CR said, "Why are we gloom and doom after making the Eastern Conference Finals?" Ask Leon Rose that. I ain't the one who made a change after the Eastern Conference Finals. Why is the organization gloom and doom after making the Eastern Conference Finals? I don't know. I feel like I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like we pulled something. We pulled something integral out of this team, and we got to rebuild it. Who said it? J-Rock said Eastern Conference Finals was full of flukes. Well, so was the Indiana Pacers finals run. Full of flukes too. I mean, we literally lost game 1 on a fluke shot.
Well,
not fluke.
Overtime,
right? I
felt like we lost though.
I don't feel like it was a fluke. We was going up 3-1 over the Boston Celtics. How the hell was that a fluke? Just because we had to come back. We've seen that throughout the entire playoffs. If that's the case, every team that had to come back, it was a fluke that they won that basketball game. We've seen it throughout the entire playoffs. Teams had to come back from down 20. You hear coaches talk about it all the time on how, no lead is safe because of the 3-point shot, the speed of the game, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? It happened throughout the entire playoffs, not just with the Knicks. Not just with the Knicks. Yeah. I don't know, man. We'll find. I don't know. Listen, I want us to get. I'm not gonna next year. I'll have a couple times the Knicks aren't playing well, where I look back at it, but I'm gonna look at it in its totality because it's about results, not just about the process. Everybody's worried about the process, but it's about results, and you cannot deny that we've been having results over the last 4 years, 5 years. The Knicks have had results.
Well, I tell you what, we're gonna have to enjoy the process coming next year.
We're gonna have to,
because we're gonna have to analyze it. You know what I mean? Like, at least, hopefully, this new guy doesn't come with the stigmas and the the preconceived notions and
right.
All the baggage that I think Tibbs had.
Yeah.
And hopefully the fan base take it easy on him.
I mean, the thing though is every coach is going to come with some kind of baggage. Every coach that's available to us right now is going to have some kind of baggage.
Except the new ones.
You know what I'm saying? Except the new ones. Right, except the new ones. They're going to have some kind of baggage. I hope I'm very wrong and that we didn't make that kind of mistake and we continue to rise. I'm just a little scared about that.
Is there a coach that you wouldn't want?
Johnny Bryant. I don't want Johnny Bryant. I know, and I know people saying Johnny Bryant, right? Coach CR617 just said, I hope we sign Bryant. I don't. And it's nothing against Johnny Bryant. I just, people always talk about his relationship with the players. Well, David Fizdale had a great relationship with the players, and it didn't work. Johnny Bryant's interviewed for the Cleveland Cavaliers job. He interviewed for the Phoenix Suns job. If he is this up-and-coming, rising, great coach to be, why did he not get one of those jobs?
And they said he was the front runner, and then his co-worker got the job.
Right. Like, why did he not get one of those jobs? If he is this next guy, he's the next guy up, why is he not hired? If he's the next guy up, we should have missed out on him when we had Tibbs. He should have got a head coaching job. There's been head coaching jobs around the league. He should have got a head coaching job. If he's that next guy up, he's not, in my opinion.
Actually, they said he was the front runner. Then Tibbs got fired. Then his coworker got the job. Cause I ain't go. I thought it was gonna be Johnny Bryant right off the jump. When they say he was the front runner, then Tibbs got fired. I was like, oh
yeah. But he's not a Knick. And we interviewing all these other guys. And have we interviewed Johnny Bryant? No. Has there even been anything out that he's the next guy to interview? We interviewed the dude from Minnesota. And we didn't interview Johnny Bryant. If he is the guy, why hasn't he been interviewed? I don't think they really have interest in Johnny Bryant.
He ain't high on my list, but I wouldn't be mad. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. Only one I don't want is Doc Rivers.
Oh, hell no. Definitely don't want Doc. Keep him away, far away from the New York Knicks. Keep him away.
He the only person I've seen speak about it as far as a coach too.
Yeah. If I'm taking a new head coach, it's Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell. I do think he would do a really good job with this basketball team. Yep. Randall said the dude from Minnesota is the assistant coach. Yeah, well, Johnny Bryant's the associate head coach. He was the associate head coach here. He's the associate head coach in Cleveland. Johnny Bryant has a job right now. I ain't trying to diss him. But his jobs seem to be based on Donovan Mitchell. Utah, Donovan Mitchell was there. Come to New York, Donovan Mitchell was supposed to be in New York. Well, he goes to Cleveland. All of a sudden, Johnny Bryant's in Cleveland. Right? I hope he gets a job one day, and I hope he does really, really well. I'm just not convinced. I ain't convinced. And Keith Turner said Sam Cassell is his top choice. He didn't get an interview because I think the pressure that this front office put on themselves and on the next head coach prevents them from bringing in Sam Cassell or Johnny Bryant because their first year, and you've already put a mark on this guy's back. How do you go to James Dolan and say, I'm going to hire a first-year head coach? When I've already said we fired the guy that got us the farthest that we've ever gotten in 25 years because we didn't think he can win us a championship, but instead we're going to put in a guy that's unproven, that hasn't won any games in the NBA as a head coach. How do you bring that to James Dolan? You don't. So I think that's the reason why you don't see an interview with Sam Cassell or Johnny Bryant. I mean, but they interviewed the dude from Minnesota, so I don't know.
Maybe that opens the door.
Yeah. I do got some super chats. Let me get to them. See what we got. Parrish says, Sim, I'm a business owner for 29 years. Congrats. No employee would ever survive keeping their job not speaking to me. Insubordination is automatic termination. What makes you think that Tom Thibodeau wasn't speaking to him? I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know. Paris, again, thank you for the super chat. He said, losing game one because of no closeout strategy, you're gone. The closeout strategy, you're up 9 with 50-something seconds left.
Make your free throws.
Make smart decisions. That's all you got to do to close the game out. So what happened with the other games that they won? That were close games. There were no closeout strategies in those games? No, the players lost that game. I don't know. Anyway, this was supposed to be like a 30-minute show. Ended up being an hour and 30 minutes, man.
We had a lot to talk about, man.
Yeah,
hopefully I get one in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Talk about some of these draft options.
Right. Going to the draft without a coach. You know what I'm saying? You're just gonna draft somebody, and then that coach probably is probably, I don't even like that guy. You know,
they're gonna have to talk with everybody they interview. Like, who would you draft?
Who would you draft? Right, exactly. Yes, Coach CR, I am gonna be live for the draft. I'll be live for the draft. You know, even though we don't have a draft in the first round, we don't have a pick in the first round, I'll be live for the draft. So, you know, oh well. You know what I mean? I appreciate everybody for jumping on with us. You know, it's 2:00 in the morning. I had some work I was supposed to get done. I didn't do it.
Me too.
I have to get it done tomorrow before the draft. Yeah, I have to get it done then. Anyway, folks, I'm gonna head off tonight. We appreciate your time. You know, there's gonna be a lot going on. Sean, look at this. Thibodeau was fired. I'm still on a high from it. Yeah, well, whoever they hire is probably going to bring you down from that high. Shoot. Anyway, folks, we're up out of here. We appreciate your time. And, yeah, I will see you tomorrow night for the draft, folks. I'm out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.